Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mona, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monad. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and I'm so glad that you joined me this afternoon, day, morning, evening. Thanks for inviting me in. And we're going to jump right into the video. I was sitting here and doing some stuff, getting ready for some things that I have coming up, and this conversation kind of popped into my mind, and I thought I would share it with you. It's a conversation that my excuse me, my bestie and I had, where she was saying something to me regarding an experience that I had been through. And while I didn't share a lot of the ins and outs of said experience, she said to me, maybe this gives you a little bit of compassion for your twin flame. And I thought about it and I said, I pushed back a little. I was like, well, I am not like my twin flame. I did not make the choices, nor was I as cruel or any of the things that happened in that dynamic. And she said, no, you didn't. But in this one area, there were parallels. And she wasn't wrong. Sometimes you have a situation in your life that is literally there just to cause you to do a look back, a 360 look back, or to tie up karmic ends. And I had a lot of judgment for my quote unquote twin flame, my toxic catalyst. That's what I really think twin flames are, a catalyst into your spiritual journey. And I had a lot of animosity and bitterness and all of the words that would equate to that, for sure. I felt a lot of feelings about that, as many of us do. Rightfully so, too. Sometimes I think it's righteous indignation, to say the least. But in any case, when my friend said that to me, my bestie said that to me, I thought, you know what? There is something to that. Sorry, guys, I'm turning on the fan, so if you hear that in the background, there is something to that. There is something to be said for those feelings. And my twin made a lot of decisions because she felt strong emotions and passions for someone. Also, she needed to go on that journey. The thing about it is when in the beginning you'll be like, I'll sit here and keep a kettle on for you on some Dido. My tea's gone cold and I wonder why type energy. But the truth of the matter is, that kettle is cold, it's an ice block, and not in any negative way. I would never ever want to even communicate with that person again, and not out of spite and not to prove a point and not because you hurt me. I don't care anymore. When I say I don't care, I see it all as this like a Big Bang Theory that had to happen to get me to where I needed to be, which is on distant shores far away from she. I'm so grateful. Okay, gratitude is actually how I feel, because it set me on my path in the best way, and I'm grateful. And if she could take credit for it, I promise you she would, as many of your twin flames would do the same. You had to put yourself back together again, though, right? If Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put you back together again, who did? You did. God did. Okay? Excuse me, guys. So, what I'm saying to you is, when my friend said that to me, I felt a little prick in my soul, like, bitch, I am not she, right? Because I would never want to even be aligned with the likes of she. But I had to look at it, actually, and I thought, I guess from your eyes, maybe that's how it felt, because I was distant and a lot of things, but I wasn't distant in the way that the person was distant with me. Again, there were parallels, but they were not equals, okay? It wasn't the same. But I can see how when you care about someone, or how things can unfold, that you will be in a protective stance, and how the friends and family around you will be like, why have you been body snatched? The way that I operate, because of the work that I do, is I often am counseling people who are combating silent third parties, meaning they don't know that the third parties are not silent partners in the connection, but they get to weigh in. And I don't want to be cryptic here. What I mean specifically is, I'm often counseling someone who is dating someone, and then maybe a friend, a mother, a sister, a coworker, or whatever has a lot of opinions because someone is weak and they allow that to happen. That's the only way that that happens. No one can steal you from your person. No one can interlope unless that person has negative energy and thoughts about you, right? Unless there's already some hiccups and some chinks in the armor. Even with my bestie in this last incarnation of things, there were some chinks in our armor, but it wasn't enough to completely destroy our relationship. We both actively wanted our relationship. We both actively worked on it, even if there were moments where things were not exactly perfect. And we had a long run of pretty good, right? But any good, healthy relationship will be tested. The metal of it will be tested. And I'm grateful because you come out better for the test. And we were real grown-ups and like, no, we want this. We want to work on this. But what I will say is that I will incubate, if I'm in a new connection, that connection, because I don't want anybody else's opinions. And I often am counseling people and have been in my own situations. And maybe this is why I feel so passionately about it, because people allow third parties to come in and get in their head. And then people start treating you very differently than what was on the soulmate contract or whatever your initial emotion was. Forget about soulmate contract. How someone was with you before they allowed a lot of opinions and advice and what do you think's to happen. And I don't do that specifically, which can make people around me sometimes feel ostracized. I literally will shut everybody out. If I like someone, I'm going to figure out what I like about them until I do not like them. And that means that when I decide I don't like them, or if I decide I love them and I'm keeping them for life, then that is a decision that's totally made in the vacuum of my own head with my angels and my spirit team. Those are my besties in real life. Like, I have besties that are on this human plane. I am grateful for it. But the people that I really run by my major decisions are not people. They're entities and angels. They're spirits and its ancestors. Because those are the only people that are not trifling. And I, no offense to anybody that's in my life that hears this, I love you and I appreciate you. But everyone has their own agendas, quiet agendas. And I've never been wrong about it. Meaning I've seen people's agendas peek through. And what people don't understand sometimes, if they're naive or if they choose to be willfully naive, is that people around them have agendas. People around you have agendas. We all do. And I've even had agendas too. So I'll go back to my twin flame and me. When I watched her get into a new connection, I felt all of the things, and then I did all of the mature managing of it. I was not going to make a tantrum. I wasn't going to make a scene. I wasn't going to make it, be a whole big drama. But I noticed that there was some toxicity with the person. You know what they say? Birds of a feather flock together. And my friend, who was my best friend at the time, started to behave differently. We had a long history, so we were a lot of things, but in various incarnations in our life. But the thing that we mostly were friends, truly. And she was a life partner, really, honestly. And I was like, God, your behavior is... Now, she had these vibrations in her, meaning like attracts like. She and I were not exactly alike, and we were counterbalances. I was definitely a counterbalance for her, and whatever the case may be. The thing is that she found someone that was more alike than me. Someone that was more in alignment with she. And that person was rife with toxicity. But it meant that my quote-unquote ex-friends, demons, could kind of come alive and thrive in that environment. Think of a petri dish, right? So she was with other germs like her. so she could be her worst toxic self, and it felt good. It had to have felt delicious. Now, I didn't understand how delicious it would feel until I had my own big someone is like me in similar ways revealed. Does that make sense? And so until I got into my own connection many years later with someone who I felt very, very compatible with, to a certain degree, until I realized we were actually not incompatible in the most basic ways that matter to me, which is about communication and honesty and agendas and all that stuff. But when I got with someone who we just had so many similarities, I don't know. I mean, God would have to work a whole magical miracle, and he's fully capable of it, in order to bring that kind of connection back around. I mean, because the similarities were like eerie. It was down to like things that I couldn't even regale you guys about. Like, I mean, life path and so many things that, just daily nuances and ways that we thought and communicated. And I was like, oh my gosh, I found a person. So I incubated that. I protected that because that was my inclination and notion. I didn't allow my best friend to weigh in at all. Not that she did, she wouldn't. My best friend is mature. Usually people in my life are older than me, and that it makes me very happy. I always say I love a cougar. So my husband's older than me, my best friend's older than me. People that I've soulmate dated are usually older than me. I made one exception, and it's an exception I probably will never make again. But I do much better with on the cougar end, if you will. Okay, I do much better when someone is 5 to 10 years older than me, because the maturity level is there. We live and we learn. But in my situation, similar to my twin, there were all these parallels, and that's what I'm talking to you about today. My twin was dealing with someone else younger. I ended up dealing with someone else younger, and while they weren't much younger, I don't know that it was the same age gap as what my twin had with her person, or her karmic, because people are karmic for real. But we all have been someone's karmic too, that part, right? We will be the villain in someone's story at some point in life. I have been the villain. People the villain in my story. You know how it goes. We switch that out, right? It's like the shell game at the carnival. Like, which cup is it under? Who's going to be the karmic today? Because we all have lessons to learn while we're on this life and earth plane. Anyway, she was dealing with someone younger, so that was a parallel. I was dealing with someone younger. That was the parallel. And you fall into a world with that person. And so when my bestie in this incarnation said to me, well, maybe you have a little bit of compassion, and she said my twin flame's name, I was like, F that be, I'm not like her, I like immediately balked at it. And then the thing about me though, y'all, boys and girls, is that I literally will introspect. I don't take on what people throw at me, because people will project and throw a lot of stuff at you. And in my line of work, people have a lot of strong opinions about what I do, meaning in Christian perspective versus metaphysical versus, right? So I've had to learn to be very self-protecting, because I can't take on every negative thought that someone has when they see me. People have visceral reactions to me, okay? And that's not always good. Sometimes it's beautiful, and sometimes it's treacherous. And so I heard what she said, and I sat with it, and I immediately said what I said back to her, like, I am not like her to any degree, but I do see your point. In that moment, I even agreed with her that yes, I imagine that this was allowed to happen so that I could have compassion for my ex, and I could see what stress she was under, how much she may have liked someone, how much under the limerence and pull of attraction that she was. And her situation was far more enmeshed than mine. She had multiple levels of components that never were a part of my situation that I went through. Her relationship was far more intimate and fully all the things. That was not my case at all. Mine was truly, it had undertones, but it was not a full, it wasn't a full Monty, it wasn't a full deep dive. It was actually very lightweight and very light considering. And that's because I'm very protected too. Guys, that's another thing. You can't underestimate your protection. My angels, I realize, are almost like a group of Italian brothers, is what it feels like to me. I'm not just saying mafioso, but it feels that way, where they protect me as a sister, which is not something I had. I did not have older brothers that were protecting me, and that wasn't my experience, so I don't really know what that feels like. But I imagine, and I never fantasized about having it either, so this is a very peculiar position I find myself in here spiritually. They love me so much that they don't let me have the thing that I want sometimes, or it never goes as far as it could go. And then I'm upset in the moment. Like, I'm the petulant teenager, like, trying to sneak out the window. And they're like, that's cool, we see you. And on the other end is like a brother looking up at me when I get my one leg out the window. Like, where are you going? That's how my angels treat me. They're like, oh, we knew that you were going to sneak out the window, but you can't go out the window. You can't go with them. They're going to kill you. I know that sounds like real dramatic. Like, I took a turn. Well, I watch a lot of true crime. Unfortunately, that's a tough lesson to learn when you're in the back of a trunk. And what I mean by that is, spiritually, guys, you will go off with someone that means you know well, that doesn't really care about you, that doesn't like you, that will be nothing but a freaking drain on your emotions. And they may be the most delightful person to everybody else in their life, but they were dispatched in to get you off your path. And that's how my twin flame's karmic was sent in, to get her off her path. It wasn't even about that she was so in love with my twin flame. Obsession, for sure. She trafficked in that as a Scorpio. Fixated, for sure. Absolutely. Obsessed. I keep saying obsessed because that's really what I felt like it was. But really, it had a lot to do with whatever was our mission and spirituality together, she and I. And sometimes you will have like operatives that are dispatched in to get you off your path. And anyway, my angels are like Italian brothers. Every time I'm like, no, but I really want to go to the carnival. Can I just go to the carnival? I just really want to go to the carnival. They've got candy at the carnival. I love cotton candy. I want to get one of those pieces of corn on a stick. I love that corn on a stick. I do love that corn on a stick. Those are my two go-tos at the carnival. Did I get cotton candy? Did I take home a candy apple? And did I get corn on a stick to eat while I was there? If I didn't get those things, did a carnival even happen? But anyway, that is what I will tell you is, you're protected. That's what my point in saying this is. I never get those things in any of my pursuits. I never come home with the candy apple, the cotton candy, or the corn on the stick. I get to, excuse me, oh, I thought I had to sneeze. I get to walk around the carnival, and I get to enjoy the sights and sounds and the smells. I get to feel like I'm outside. And I have like gang of angel brothers that are overlooking me like, what are you doing? Which ride are you going to ride? You're not getting on that ride. That ride. And then they're like, show me, they're like, there's 3 nuts and bolts that are unscrewed, and if you get on, it's going to be like Final Destination. I know that sounds really dramatic, but that's exactly how my angels deal with me when I'm dealing with these new life stations and these new people that are dispatched in, and people that I'm like, no, but this person's really safe. I promise you, there are no nuts and bolts that are unscrewed. And they're like, they're not. Just wait. Wait till we show you exactly how unscrewed these nuts and bolts are. And they always do. I want you guys to lean in and trust your spirit team too. This is not just about me. If I'm talking, this is something here for you. There are people in your life that have a few nuts and bolts unscrewed. And you want to ride the ride, and you're not supposed to. My angels always do this with me when I want something really bad, or I really feel like I deserve this, or it's not fair, I deserve that, give me that. Like, I'm petulant, I'm in a childish behavior. Excuse me, guys. I'm in a childish behavior, and when I'm in that behavior, they'll say, no, you can't have it, we'll tell you later, just like your parents would. Like when you're a kid, they do that to me all the time. But really, when I'm in high danger, with my twin flame, when I was like, listen guys, it's been all these years, we're about to seal the deal, meaning seal the deal had been sealed, but it's like, now I'm ready to move on to this new spiritual realm. This person's coming with me, I'm at the helm, you're at the helm, whatever. They were like, no, she's not. She's a hot mess, and the nuts and bolts are unscrewed, and we're going to show you. And they told me, don't touch her. We'll tell you later. Physically, that was actually one of my litmus tests, was to not be physical, sexually, or connected with that person at all in that incarnation, which was crazy because we'd already had connection and we'd already had those moments. But years later, they were like, please don't touch her at all, because she's got spiritual demons and all kinds of spiritually transmitted demons is what I call them. All kinds of attachments and things like that are very detrimental for the life path that you're on. You guys need to realize how precious you are. Sometimes the people that you are shielded from, you don't understand, because we can be quite naive, especially when we like someone, especially when we feel like we're compatible with someone. We're like, oh my gosh, this person's amazing, right? They're amazing. I always joke with my clients about that when they're in the you're amazing stage of dating. And with soulmate dating or twin flame energy, it's no different, actually. 1 second, guys. All of a sudden, my nose is running, which noses itch when people do readings, but I don't know what the running is. I don't know, because I'm not supposed to talk today. It is the morning. I just had some tea, so that could be it too. Oh, I've been drinking this really great tea. That's been helping with my respiratory issues. Okay, so in any case, your angels will protect you from the nuts and bolts and the crazy faces that are trying to get you. You just don't even realize it. And I have been so petulant and like, no, but if I just have this one thing and it's not fair, why can't I have it? And my band of brothers, God bless them, band of angelic realm, are like, no, this person is this, and this, and we're not even going to tell you all of it. And that's the thing. I've really learned to be obedient. They've tested me because they said, we're going to take you places in your life where you will have no one around that you get to ask. You're not going to get to call bestie. You're not going to get to call your mama. You cannot reach out to your life partner. You can't reach out to anybody. You're going to be in a room and in a moment with a person, and you have to decide to listen to us, or else you will not be set free. They said some of these people that you guys are facing off with behind the scenes are Jigsaw. If you guys are familiar with the Saw movie, Jigsaw is that crazy ass clown that has the diabolical, you know, like next level thing. Like, well, now that you've opened the box, you need to retrieve the key. Well, where's the key? Well, you swallowed the key while you were sedated, so you have to dig it out of your stomach. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but if you've seen the Saw movies, you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you are about to be into a situation like that with somebody who is diabolical for you and just not healthy. And for everyone else, they could be great or they could not be. But your angels are not going to let you get away with being taken off, letting you sneak out the window so you could end up in the back of the trunk spiritually, okay? Now, back to the full wrap-up of the karmic thing. So when my bestie says that to me, I'm examining it, and I see. Because you know, you'll always get to flip it and reverse it. In our connection, my bestie and I's connection, in this last moment of testing that I had spiritually, I was my twin flame. Does that make sense? So let's see if you can follow along here. Meaning, I was in the position of my twin flame. So where I once stood in judgment of my twin flame, my bestie very fairly could have stood in judgment of me. Okay? However I made my twin flame, or however my twin flame made me feel, I was making my bestie feel. Okay? I didn't do it on purpose, but I got to be above it as after it happened and look at it. Does that make sense? You know, like a drone shot. I got a drone shot of the dynamics, and my angel said, this is how karma really works, and this is what happens, and you are not exempt just because you're a teacher. In fact, my lessons are sometimes far more intense because I really have to get it so that I can communicate it and share it with you. So I got a drone shot. So they put me inside of my twin's energy and body where I did not have compassion for her or any of that. Bye, sweetie. Have a good day. Love you. Where I did not have compassion for her or any of that stuff. Hold on 1 second, guys. Goodness, this nose thing is driving me nuts. It's like threatening to sneeze and really driving me insane. Okay, we're gonna get this done now. I did not have compassion for her. I was like, wow, you're being such a bitch. She didn't have compassion for me either, right? Like, this is not some kumbaya where I'm going to send her a fruit basket and thank her for the lesson. F her forever and for life. That happened. I'm so grateful it happened. It went exactly how it should have. But she did not have compassion for me. And it's not that I did not have compassion for my bestie. It is that I was caught up in the rapture of my own situation and whatever felt like happiness or the intrigue of it or whatever, because it wasn't always happy. But I was caught up in whatever. And they said, now can you imagine, put 20 on 10? Because my situation, again, was nowhere near as intense or intimate or whatever as what she had with her karmic partner. They had a highly, highly different level of other stuff that never even existed in my connection. And they said, so can you imagine now you add all of those emotions, all that serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin dumps, pair bonding, all the stuff that was happening in that. And then do you see how she like edged you out completely? She was talked to about you. This is what you need to know about maybe your twin flame situation. They get messages, they get signs, they get synchronicities. They know. There would be moments where I would be like in heaping tears and she would call me because she could hear me energetically because we were still connected. This is years and years ago. And I would just be mourning the relationship and she would be like, yeah, I just felt like I should call you. She wasn't calling to be mean at that moment. I think we still had a compassionate connection that was tender, and she could tell that I was hurting because of how she was treating me. But she was also too happy and too caught up in her new shit and her limerence to really care about me. And she was going to pick, and it was not going to be me after many, many years, 20 years of being together. Now, that was not the situation that happened with me and my bestie. I was very careful because I was highly aware that there were some parallels even as it was happening. And I was like, oh, this must have been how my ex felt. This must have been how she felt. But I was very determined not to lose everything, because at the end of any twin flame thing, if they don't choose right, they lose everything. They lose you. They even lose the karmic partner too, or it doesn't go the way they think it's going to go with a karmic partner. They've disrupted their familial structure. They lose themselves into addiction. And I was like, oh, we can't get caught in that undertow. So that's why I listen. When my Italian angels are standing inside and outside of the window saying you're not going with them, I will tell you later, I listen. And it's a choice. There's a spiritual choice that you get where you have free will to make a choice. And you have to choose before it's chosen for you. And the same thing was offered to my twin. The same thing was offered to your twin flame as well. They got to choose you or not choose you. But once the choice is made, that's what sticks. Okay, guys? Excuse me, guys. I'm so sorry about this. Oh, excuse me. Once the choice is made, that's what sticks. So, they can't renege on that, even if they want to. I knew that years later my twin thought about it, or probably even weeks after I left finally for real, she was remorseful. And that's not conjecture. She reached out to me. She was like, this feels like a funeral. I feel like I'm dying. I've never mourned somebody more. I've never cried so hard. I was like, yeah, girl. Yeah, that's how I felt the last 2 years while I was watching you treat me like shit. It sucked, didn't it? But I didn't go back, nor did I tell her that even. I was just like, ghost, But she did reach out. She did. And she did try to apologize and all that stuff. But I was like, no, the decision was made. See, guys, sometimes the free trial is up. And that goes forward to all relationship dynamics. It's not just the twin flame one in which we can be stuck sometimes. In any connection that you have, whatever dating situation, whatever new friendship, whatever, there's a free trial, and then time's up, and then access is no longer granted. People get a lot of time to make a choice about you and to treat you right. And because we're Earth Angels, those TikToks recently, I'm an Earth Angel. Of course people are going to think I'm a fucking doormat and act like it. But you're not anymore, or you might have been, or you're reformed, or you're working on your codependency. My point is, people don't get forever to choose anymore like they used to, and you better love yourself enough to make sure that they're not sitting there forever. The clock will run out. And if you are really in touch with your spirit team, with those Italian brothers in the back like it is for me, the clock gets run out. Like my Italian brothers, my pantheon of angels and ancestors were like, listen, in my most recent situation, time's up on this bitch. It's time up for this bitch. They were sick of it. My ancestors were sick of it. They were like, but here's the thing, guys. When we are in relationship with somebody, we are an umbrella of protection. I have a video. I will see if I can find it and link below. I've been getting better at that. I will see if I can find it and link it below. That I made called the empath umbrella. When you are under our umbrella, guys, we protect energy. So even if someone is supposed to get karma, or they're supposed to know what it feels like to have no light, ain't no sunshine when she's gone, is my motto all day long. It's my motto all day. There's never been someone that I have not connected with, soulmate dated, twin flame love, actually dated, been with, friends with, platonic or not, that when I leave, that they're not like, fuck. But see, the thing is, when people are around you, they will play in your face. And they will think they have forever. And that forever thinking of I have forever to make this decision. I'm going to treat you like shit. I'm going to listen to everyone else around me and let them make my decisions. That's maybe their test. Maybe that's something they had to grow up, and that's something they had to learn. And the only way to learn it is to lose you, because in your absence, that's when they will actually value and appreciate you. It's my inside joke to some of my other spiritualist friends when we chat. We have powwow sessions and just kind of cross compare some of our spiritual work that we're going through. It's really beautiful. I'm really grateful for my support team of people that I do that with. But one of the things that we chat about is, how people miss. and how they will like not pay attention to the gift when it's in front of them, of our energy, of our whatever. And we actually feel bad for people, to be honest with you, because we know what that costs them and whatever. But when someone's under your umbrella, they're protected. And so if you are staying in a situation, you're probably hindering someone from getting the lesson of what your absence would cost them so that they can value you. And I know a lot of you are like, well, look, can I go? I've literally had clients ask me that. If I walk away, will they chase me? I advise you so heavily to never walk away to be chased, because that means you're still codependent on an energy reaction from somebody. It also means that someone else is very much more in control of you than you think. It also means that you might achieve the aim momentarily, because reflexes are reflexes. If you hit a knee in a certain place, it's going to like pop out or kick out, right? But that's not their natural inclination. If I leave, I'm leaving because I can't be there anymore. Excuse me, I don't want to be there anymore. My my Italian brothers of angels said, get out of here. We don't like it. They're sleeping with the fishes as far as we're concerned. And that doesn't mean anybody's going anywhere or dying. It just means that they're dead to you. That part is very, very much that. It's very mafioso in the spiritual realm. Because people, see, the thing is, your angels and your ancestors see what people say about you. They see who they talk to you about. They see how they gossip about your life, how you're fodder, and how they treat you like a show that they're watching more than a friend or a person or a lover that they're interacting with that's precious to them. And angels and empaths, you know how we treat people. Earth angels, you know how we treat people. They're precious to us. We don't use them as fodder. We're not talking about them with anybody. We just love them for who they are. And that is a very foreign concept to a lot of people's lives that we pop into. So they get very frustrated with the people around you guys sometimes, because they can tell and hear things that you don't. And even if they give you a tip of the iceberg regarding whatever's really going on behind the scenes, it's never the full thing. The further away you get, the more that you will get revelations of it if you really want it. With my twin flame, I was shown so many things while I was in it, because they wanted me to know how much she hated me and how mean she was being so that I could get out of it. And then after I was out of it, I was given deeper revelations that had I had known that while I was there, we could have been on an episode of Snapped. Does that make sense? And so that sometimes they'll protect you from yourself, your own lowest vibration, your own lowest human thing. I've never felt that level of vitriol for anybody before or since, thank God. And that's why they're like, we can't ever have you on the brink. And that's why you need to listen to us sooner. Because what happened with the twin flame, this is my point with the umbrella, is sometimes we'll want to stay, and we offer protection when we stay. Irie was assessing my whole "have you ever been swallowed" thing. And I want you to understand, one of the things I said in it was I should have left that person 7 months ago instead of it taking as long as it did. Because that's when I was really hearing very clearly from my Italian brothers and angels, get out of here. When it was a very small problem that would have just been something I would chuckle about, rather than affecting me the way that it potentially could have affected me the longer I stayed. And they're like, you would not have had this rudeness happen to you. You would not have had this, her spitting in your face happen to you. And she didn't literally spit in my face, but she did figuratively and spiritually. But there were things that I allowed to be part of my experience that then I had to clean up on aisle 10, because I stayed proximal to that most recent connection that I cut off, because I was not listening. Because I was like, well, she's got good bones and I like her and whatever. And my pantheon of angels and ancestors were like, we don't like her for you. Also, we've talked to her. Also, she knows exactly who you are. Also, she's gossiping about you. Also, like, there are some of your little not earth angels, but some of your angels and your spirit team are messy AF. I always tell my clients that. I'm sorry, my angels are nosy. Like, I blame it on them. It's like, it's not like having imaginary friends. They're real. But I'm like, they're mad nosy, because I'll be doing a reading and then I'll be talking about things that I couldn't possibly know. That's why I'm like, you can't be big-headed in this thing. Who are you? Who am I? I am just a human and a conduit. I don't know ish, okay? So some of the stuff that they drop in, they'll be like, tell them about the pasta that broke in 1972. And I'm like, okay. And I'll mention it, and they'll like start crying. And I'm like, what is happening? That's because your spirit team is always talking to you, and they know things that you will never know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just out here being diligent to show up and be obedient and to listen. That I do know. I am doing that purposely. That's why I pay attention. But because I didn't disembark from my most recent situation when they told me to, I was subject to other wounding, meaning other disrespectful. This girl was disrespectful AF. Other disrespectful things I allowed myself to intake, disrespectful behaviors, ingratitudes, and all the rest of it, which all worked in my favor to be so disgusted that I was like, fuck it. But they were like, we didn't even want you to even feel that. You're so loved, guys, that your spirit team doesn't even want you to feel those infractions, okay? And in the case of my twin flame, because I really loved her, like deeply, years in the trenches loved her, I stayed years past when they told me to leave and get out. Years. You understand? I was disobedient. So that's why I never am disobedient as I move forward. I could be like, oh, they got me for a couple extra months, but it's never going to be no years that I'm staying with anybody while they're treating me crappy or taking me for granted or whatever the case may be. But when we love somebody, guys, I got to give you grace. We will do that. We will, and then while we're staying, the longer I stayed, the more that my twin siphoned off of me, the more that she body snatched me, the more that she tried to literally become me, which was so weird because she hated all of my spirituality, didn't believe in it, thought it was crazy, literally laughed in my face when I told her I talked to angels, and then all of a sudden she's obsessed with it. It never fails. It never fails that people that are like, that's weird, what he did, are like trying to be like you. And my angel said, you stayed too long, and so she was able to get more and more and more out of you, and her life is turning out amazing, which is fine. I'm never hating on that. I always prayed for her to have an amazing life and the right companionship and all of that stuff. I really loved her. But they said because I stayed, I protected her. Sometimes you got to get out of Dodge so you stop protecting people from that, especially because just the way you hear, other people hear too. If you think you have any spiritual mission or connection or twin flame or soulmate, they know about you. And they so know about you. You're like, how do you know that, Mona? Are you sure? Yes, because they're talking to other people in their life about you because they are not secure with their spirit team. That's one thing we will do. And that's one thing I did learn. Projection was a huge theme in this last connection. And the word, I have really taken it to heart. And I realized that I projected a lot onto this last connection and other ones too. And what I project is my depth and level of spirituality. These people are novices. They're noobs. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. A lot of people are not immersed in really diving deep and understanding spiritual birthing and all the rest of it. If you're around someone who's doing it in real life, it's legit. You can tell. Some people are really new to it, or they have a cursory interest in knowledge, and I'm not stepping on anybody's depth or level because not everybody's on the same place. We all start out in elementary school and then we evolve and grow. But when you are liking someone, or you are in limerence with some, or like with my twin flame, when you love someone deeply or in love with them, you will want them to know what you know, and you will teach them. That is definitely my way. And then you may project onto them that they have the same level and depth, and they don't. So they don't have a spirit team to talk to because they don't really believe in it. They might use it as a cloak and a shield and something to body snatch off of you. They're talking to their tribe of real humans that are fallible and fucked up and mentally ill and have other agendas and don't want to see them happy, but they don't realize it. And they don't understand, like you do and I do, that the only one who's going to have pure intentions for you is your spirit team. Even your own mom can be an op. And I'm not saying that for anybody else. I'm saying in my own life, there have been things in my life that I've shielded from my own very biological mother because I could tell that she wasn't really happy for me. And I'm not talking about love. My mom had issues with money and finances. So in order to evolve into the place that I was, and get out of the 9-to-5 mentality, which I just knew wasn't for me because my angel said so, I had to stop talking to my mom about money because she was so distrusting of the life that I built for myself until it was firm. And she saw, and even to this day, I have a booking coming up for a corporate event. And she was like, do they pay you? I'm like, Mom, the check is cut and sent to me before I ever step foot on a plane. Not only do they pay me, they pay for everything. But that is hard for her to understand because that's not her life. So for years, I didn't talk to her about my business at all because she was an operative to financial abundance. It doesn't mean my mom did not want me to be happy, but she has her own beliefs about what money brings, and she has fears around it. And people will project those fears onto you, and then you're staying small and you don't understand why in a certain area. Now transpose that into your love life or to your relationship status. People will project their fears onto you because maybe they've never had what you've had or are having, or maybe they've never been happy, or maybe a relationship's never worked like that for them, and why should you have that? And people that share your very own DNA, like my mama, will be like, is it real? Now that's again for my mother and I, it was in the realm of finances, but I cut her out and off of anything to do with finances while I worked on changing my energetic vibration, up leveling and manifesting. Because every time I talked to her, she was such a Debbie Downer regarding the magic of what I was manifesting, and what I've manifested is very real. But it's nothing that she could conceptualize in a million years for herself. Does that mean she doesn't love me? No. Does that mean she's a bad person? No. But it means that in that area, she was toxic AF for me, and I had to release her energy in order to grow. That's a message. That was the angel share. They always want me to start saying that now. They're like, tell them when it's us talking through you. You have to release some people that share your DNA, or that are your closest friend or your bestie, in order for you to elevate and grow. Had I had listened to my bestie again did not weigh in with, let me take a sip of water here, guys. My bestie did not weigh in with an absolute yes or no about my most recent connection. She did not like the way that the girl treated her, and that it was fair, but the girl wasn't there for her, so I didn't. Can I just be honest with you? It's not that I didn't care. I wanted her to treat my friend well, of course, but I am so careful about making sure that whatever connection I'm in is a connection I'm in. And I understand people's secret agendas and their secret hates. And so even if my bestie loved her to death, I was incubating it until I can understand from my angels, who I trust implicitly, that this person was not good for me, and trust me, they got me the message, okay? This person does not mean well for you. She's heard the memo. She knows exactly what she should do, how she should be treating you, and she is indignant to prove a point to her tribe and to herself that she's not going to give you shit that she's supposed to do, that she signed up to, but she would love to extract from you, and you're going to be depleted fucking around with this bitch. Like, real talk. Like, people, like, that's how my angels talk to me. They're like, girl, yeah, have you ever been swallowed? So sometimes in your life, you will have people like that around you, and you can't take the advice from your tribe. I can't. If you come away with nothing from this little morning chat, please talk to your actual angels and your spirit team. Ask for directions, ask for signs, ask for dreams. You will always get them. In this last incarnation, I did not get dreams per se with the last person, which was good. Because when a dream comes for me, it's like an absolute death knell, like get out of Dodge. Or I know like something will forever be changed. When I have a dream about someone, it makes me sad, because I know that my angels don't lie. They always prepare me when I'm in like imminent danger. Someone's like gone rogue on me in a way. But what they did give me were a lot of actual signs and a lot of animal totems and the rest of it. With my twin flame, I got dreams. Does that make sense? I got such vivid spiritual warfare dreams, the deepest ones I've ever had in my life. That's why I call her the catalyst, because she changed the way that I spiritually assess things. She turned me into a spiritual assassin in the best way. I was having to see in the dark with her bullshit. And why would you want to be around someone that's making you have to work that hard? God, it's just so toxic, guys. We put these people up on pedestals, and you shouldn't. That's the thing I'm working on. It's a thing that I can see that I do. You shouldn't, because these people, a lot of times that are in your life spiritually, if you're a spiritualist, are beneath you. And I know that sounds wild. Nobody's beneath anybody. Absolutely. Guys, we all start out as a beginner, and then you work to this, and then you work to that, and whatever. If two people start elementary school, one of them is a genius, and they're a calculus, is that other person that just started and still learning their multiplication tables not beneath them in the realm of understanding? It is. I don't know why we have such a problem with that. Class systems exist. Even angels have different class systems, okay? There's archangels, and there's the seraphim, and the oraphim. There's different levels to this. So stop pulling in someone that you might like or are attracted to or is a cool friend to you and thinking they're on the same level with you. I'm on a whole nother level. I'm geeky. A whole nother level you guys are on, and then you're pulling in this person that is a pleb that does not understand. And it's not to insult whoever you like or is your friend or you're human or whatever, but it means that they don't get what you get, they don't see what you see, and they do not understand what you understand. If I were to explain to the people around me in my regular life the way that I see things, so for some of them it would freak them out. I also have a lot of spiritual friends and stuff, so it doesn't freak some people out. But I'm just saying, sometimes when you're dealing with someone new, it's not. My twin flame had no idea. It was all superficial for her. So the only people she could talk to were people that were haters. She didn't have real angels to talk to. She was talking to real demons. And now it was like, damn, I messed up. They tricked me out of my position and whatever. But she also had fun and wanted to. Now that's why when I come back to this, when my best friend said, can you have some compassion for her? I can, because I was enjoying myself too to a certain degree until I wasn't, and that happened pretty quickly. A few months in, I was like, oh, this is toxic as fuck, right? But the thing about it is I can relate to liking someone and being like, I just want to be happy. I just want my moment. I just want to be, awesome Risa Teaser shit. Is it my turn? Is it my turn? Then my Italian brothers and angels said, no, it's not. You gonna learn. You gonna learn. You gonna learn. You gonna learn today. Don't touch it. We'll tell you later. Man, listen to what they have to say. I've never regretted that. I get pissed in the moment because I'm like, when, guys? When do I get to have my person that's really right for me? And they're like, well, it's not this person, so thank you, next. Be so fucking grateful for your ex. Okay? And then they just refocus me onto the 7 rings. That would be Ariana, and that would be, I see it, I like it, I want it, I buy it. You like my hair? Gee, thanks, just got it. Yeah, they will give you other things to pacify yourselves with if you're not getting whatever the experience is that you think that you're getting. The full circle of this is that you might want to think back to your twin. Maybe this is especially in retrograde, wink, wink, and think about how you judged them and how you felt about them, and think if you were in their same position with a new person that you were infatuated with, a new person that you were in limerence with, that was maybe toxic as fuck for you too, because see, toxicity breeds its own special kind of attraction. I know that sounds wild, but that's maybe a video to be explored later. Toxicity breeds its own special kind of attraction. So you add that on top of the limerence, on top of this, on top of that, and what you have is like the recipe for disaster. You have Oppenheimer. I am become destroyer of worlds. You could have your world destroyed by an atomic bomb of a new connection, and it can destroy all the things around you if you're not careful. I was highly cognizant and aware not to let it fully eviscerate things, but I also incubated it too. Maybe I should have, in retrospect, been like, Bessie, here's this, this, and this. What do you think? But I can't even say that I should have, because I'm actually grateful for the way it went down. Had I had said that to Bessie, then what happens is that now you're placing blame on a person in your life, and you're like, oh, I should have taken this to them. Or you might blame them, like, well, Bessie, you told me X, Y, and Z. My Bessie didn't tell me ish about this person, actually. She didn't have anything to say other than the one way that she felt that she was treated in one instance of meeting that person. And that was it. There was no other thing she could say, because I wasn't even allowing it, because I am a stronger person, and because I counsel that nonsense all day with people and have been subject to the infiltrations of other people. I'm really like, nah, no one gets to be in. And I'm grateful, because you know what? At the end of this, it was my end. It was my decision. It was my animal totems. It was my Italian angel brothers that were showing me very clear signs that this person was on fuckery, that she was playing games in my face. She was taking advantage of me. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was not taking me seriously, not taking me as, she wasn't valuing what I offered to her life. I had, girl, I'm not gonna say it. I almost said something that was really egoic. She was not valuing. The truth spiritually is that she was not valuing what I offered to her life, or the way that I affected her life, or changed her life, or impacted her life. I show up in every way, still to this moment, all over her, energetically, whether she realizes that or not. But the angel said, we see. Oh, say, can you see? So that's what you need to know. So now you know. I'm thinking of the guy with Feng Shui. So yeah, rearranging things. Sometimes you have to rearrange things in order for you to grow. And also for you to see differently. That's what they're saying with the feng shui. Now I do understand how my twin flame felt when she was caught up in the limerence and the love and the attraction. And then again, she had far deeper of a connection and fully like they was a lot was happening over there that never happened. There was drugs, there was alcohol, there was all kinds of sexual stuff. That was never any component at all of my most recent connection. But with my twin, I could look in and then I think, oh, then you add all this on top of it. Who isn't in love when you're having great sex with someone and you're on drugs? Like, she had a lot going on in her connection that made her be an asshole to me. Not to say that she didn't have a choice, she did. But I saw how I was distant and I did not have all those components and all of those other things added in. It was just a very regular connection. And so I realized, like, oh, this is how. So I was able to even forgive and kind of put that last part away, maybe. I thought I was good. I thought I had done all the work on it. You know, they keep excavating stuff, so take a look at it. But maybe this is a call for you in this retrograde, not to reach out to your ex. I'm not talking to that bitch. I don't want to see her. I don't want to talk to her. I don't care about any of that. But I thought about her when my bestie said that to me, and I thought, yeah, you're right. I did. I could see how from my bestie's purview, I was different to her because she never really seen me caught up like that. She never really seen me really be attracted to someone like that or have feelings or, you know, whatever. I won't say in love because my angels specifically were like, this is not a person to fall in love with. So there was no one love that fell, but I did love that person. And also in love takes reciprocity and mutual energy. And while that person was giving me energy, it was fake. And I knew that. I felt it. So you can't fall in love with someone that you know, for whatever reason, is withholding. But with my bestie's observation of what she watched, that was new for her. She had never seen me like that. She seen me soulmate date. She seen me shut people down and shut people out very quickly. I suffer fools not easily. So it's very 1, 2, 3 for me. But she never really seen me kind of fall into a connection and really allow myself to be in it. And I did. I'm human. I have no regrets about it. But I think even the connection itself wasn't what I thought it was. It clearly wasn't. I think it was so that I could maybe look at what my twin flame went through and finally forgive that last component that was a holdout for me, which was the big fuck you. Because I was like, how could you treat me that way? After all these years, that was what my heart... No, I don't care. But in the beginning, I did care a lot. It broke my heart that she was so mean to me when I had done nothing but be really loving to her. She like went rogue and rogue turned on me. And so that's why I balked when my bestie said it to me initially. I was like, what do you mean? I'm nothing like her, because I didn't turn on my bestie like that. I wasn't mean to my bestie or whatever. That I didn't like leave her outside and do like, I mean, this girl was wild to me, wildly disrespectful. So I was like, I'm not like her at all. But, you know, a bestie does have wisdom. She's not wrong. I, to my bestie, may have been paralleling things, even though I did not go to that extreme. I have to take accountability and responsibility for however she may have felt when she was on the outside looking in at a connection that she was not included in, because it was obviously a very different, very more romantic connection than obviously what I have with my platonic bestie, right? So she was like, this is different, and she's never seen me like that. She's seen me in lots of partnerships and relationships, but she has never seen me really care about someone. So I was different presenting to her, just like my twin flame was different presenting to me. And so it allowed me the full circle 360 karmic look back to say, ah, I see. And it finally allows me to be really, truly free. The lack of care is apathy now. I don't care if she lives or dies. I don't hate her. I don't love her. I don't care about her. Like, she doesn't exist to me. That is what place I never thought I'd be. So maybe let me give you hope. If you're listening, you will get there with your twin flame, or one day their existence is just toxicity and a bad memory, girl. It's like a bad night of drinking. Like, there are some highlights and there's more lowlights, right? There's recovery and the hangover. And guys, I'm so grateful that part of my life is over. I'm so grateful. that that person is out of my life. I am grateful for the karmic. I am grateful. I said it before, but when you really get to the other side of it, you're like, oh my God, what a relief. Thank you. I want to thank the karmic. Thank you for coming in, Lindsay. If you listening still, thank you. I am really actually grateful. Thank you for taking such a problem off of my hands. Thank you for being an amazing distraction. Girl, I would high five you if I could. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know a lot of you guys may not feel that way. You might be in the beginning of it. You might have just found this channel. It might be happening. You might still miss them. You might be still checking up on their socials or whatever y'all do. I'm telling you, this too shall pass. The angels in your life have been talking to you, and they're Italian brothers, and they said, stop it. Stop it long ago, because they didn't want you to get hurt. Now, here's how you can move forward with this. Listen to your spirit team when they're talking to you, sis, and listen sooner. That's what I'm going to get better at, and that's my commitment to myself. I should have listened sooner, even in this most recent incarnation of Soulmate Connection, because the person didn't mean me any well or good, and didn't value me and didn't appreciate me. My angels showed me a thing one time. They were like, you're doing all of this, things that will never be done again in her life by anybody. Meaning it doesn't mean that she won't go on a date or have a good time or whatever. But the way that you treated her spiritually, energetically, and then also actually emotionally, financially, just little things that I did that she was taking for granted, that she was scoffing at, that she was making fun of with her mom, and just like, oh my God, oh, the disrespect. Yo, disrespect is such a thing. It's such a pet peeve for any fire sign, especially Leos. Y'all, the disrespect, the ingratitude, it's such a turnoff for me in so many ways. But they're like, you're doing all of this, and they said someone will come into her life that like brings her hot Takis or something, or hot Cheetos or something. Like, I don't know why they gave me that picture. It said someone will come into her life that brings her like hot Cheetos with a fresh lime wedge, and she's going to run behind them, chase behind them, and treat them so well. They're like, we don't want to hurt your feelings, but if we showed you how good she's going to treat someone that gives her so much less energetically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, right, in all the realms, this person's going to give her nothing, and she's going to be clamoring and acting like she lost her mind. And it was such a powerful message for me. Not that my angels just want to hurt my feelings, but they said, when it's right, it'll be right. And when it's time, it'll be time. And when a person is actually supposed to love you, it doesn't matter how many beautiful things you do or don't do, they will love you. They will not play in your face, and it will not be a joke for fodder of what they can take, how much they can take, or whatever. They will actually care about you. Also, what I'm hearing is can't buy me love. While I was in no means trying to buy her love, one of my secondary love languages is gifts, right? I received that way. My primary is words of affirmation. And they said, they gave me a lot of tips for how to handle future soulmate connections. And they were like, everyone is not going to have the spirit that this girl has. This is actually who she is in her spirit. But, you know, maybe there's some mindful alterations that need to be made. And I was like, yeah. Also, gratitude. Even if you're the one bringing hot Takis to someone, how are they treating you if it's that? But it was just such a funny description to me. I was like, oh my God, you guys, you're right. They're like, this is a lowbrow kind of bitch. She's not, she doesn't. Not lowbrow, like, I guess she's highbrow. I don't know. But what I was projecting onto her was the way I love. And when I say it was so not received, and my angels allowed it. They're like, we wanted your feelings to be hurt because we knew what her heart felt for you, which was just coldness, which was nothing. And we didn't want you to keep doing that just because you wanted to have these experiences. Message. Ooh, that's spilling my own tea. I wanted the experiences. And, yeah, for that, I could have really just got an escort, really. You know what I mean? Energetically, if I just wanted to go on a really special fancy date, right? Because they were like, girl, what did you do here? So that is not what I did. That's not what I opted for. But the truth of the matter is make sure someone appreciates what you're offering and what your worth is. And if you don't know what that is, then people will take advantage of that. And it's not to say that I didn't know what my worth is or what I was offering. I was very clear and aware of that. But I allowed myself to be limerence into believing that it was going to be reciprocated or given back. Okay. And guys, that may be, you know, someone asked me to, why get into all these if it's going to end up like this? Like, this sucks and it's so painful. And I listen to your stories and it sucks. But I learned so much. I learned so much about myself in this last connection, not because she was deeply teaching and looking into my eyes every day, but it's because I had to learn about myself in my own way with my own spiritual team, and learn how I got into that and how not to get into that, or how to leave sooner, or how to tell when the first hinge, like literally the first time I think about when it was going left. Also with my twin flame, I think of the same thing. When it started to go left, I was very aware. The first prediction I made to her about how things were going to go was when I should have left. That was 3 years before I actually left. You see, I'm getting better. I'm shortening the gap. I recommend you guys do the same. And during this retrograde, don't call them back, but look back and see if you can put yourself into their position and give any forgiveness to your future self that may have done a similar thing when in their position, or would have understood how they could have behaved that way with the variables that they had. Again, my connections have never paralleled what she had. She had the deepest, dirtiest, dankest, whatever. That was not at all what I had moving forward. But I realized, like, oh, okay, I can see when you like someone, how you can become kind of an asshole. I can see how you can kind of be distant emotionally. And because of how I process it, I don't share things with people. I just talk to my spirit team. I could see how people that love me, that are around me, could have felt pushed away. I had to own that. I had to make my apologies. And I also had to stand my ground and say, listen, if there's a new soulmate energy that comes in when I'm ready for that, because y'all, I'm tired, but when I'm ready for that and the angels see fit for that to be, then understand that this is a part of my personality, but we're going to stay in communication, and I'm not going to push you away. But I'm also going to incubate, because that's what feels right for me. Figure out what feels right for you, but communicate, y'all, above all, with the people that do love you in your life. No matter what agendas they may or may not have that they could be unaware of, communicate with them so that they understand what to expect when you're in that kind of connection. Do you pull away? Is that your way? Do you stay in contact? I always tell everybody that the rule of thumb is to give yourself about a year. When you meet someone new and you're connecting with them, you'll disappear for about a year. It doesn't mean you will go away completely, but disappear is relative. You may be less available. You might be more caught up because you are literally fostering a new connection. Think about having a new puppy. It needs a lot of attention. It needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of energy to grow and to learn the new ways and all that stuff. And you are a new puppy too in that connection with someone that's new with you. And so you may, you may disappear for a little while. And so I never get offended when I have a friend that gets into a relationship, because I know that year grace period happens before you kind of pop your head back up and you're like, okay, doesn't mean abandon your friends and be an asshole. We know girls like that, but it means that it doesn't matter what kind of asshole you are or not. We are all girls and guys like that when it comes to new connections, potential love, whatever the case may be. So have some grace for your friends if you're observing them go in it, and then build in grace for yourself with your words with your friendship group that are humans on earth and not just your mafia angel brothers, that tell them, like, okay, this is how I am. And I think if I had anything to do differently, now it's done. Now there have been real conversations. And again, as retired, but should it happen again, because it will, I'm a fire sign. Of course it'll happen again. Of course there'll be someone else that I love. But what my friends and family around me know now is, okay, this is how we've seen you. Now we know what it is. And also, let's pray for positive as you move forward. Less toxic connections, yes. So I imagine that someone who wasn't as toxic are going to be detrimental for me. Because again, there's a certain level of attraction that happens when it's toxicity. That's the whole message of word, and maybe another video. It's going to be a much easier thing. I imagine in the future, my bestie will meet a soulmate connection that I have and really delightfully enjoy them. Because they will not be toxic, they will not be withholding, they will not be sinister under the surface that maybe I haven't even seen. So they might get along much better. Think about that too. But it is not required for whoever that loves you outside of your romantic or soulmated connections to like your people. And it's not required for your people to like them. They are dispatched into your life for your lessons. Even in this last situation, as belly up as it went, I learned so much about myself. Again, not because this person was helping me with communication, but because I introspected and I realized who I am when I'm quote unquote soulmate dating. And I'm like, oh, this is good to know. It's good intel. So take that. Full circle back to your twin flame now. In conclusion, go back and forgive them. Not go to them and forgive them, crazy. Go back and observe their behavior and see that if you were in their position, how it may have paralleled. That's the big takeaway that I got. I think that's the only reason this person was in my life in this last few months, was specifically for me to see how it feels when you do care about someone, even if they're the most toxic person for you and they're not supposed to stay, so that I could see how I treated the other people that were around me and see that I am not so impervious to asshole behavior myself. We all exist in duality, and that's as honest as I can be with you today. So I would admonish you highly to be honest with yourself too, because in that you set yourself free. And we're all about setting free, out with the old and with the new, as we are heading towards this eclipse coming up here on Monday. This is a perfect time to introspect and say your amenses. I said to that toxic twin flame, I see you. I want nothing to do with you, but I understand why you move the way you move. I don't respect it, and I did not move the same way, but I understand, and I have compassion for that person that was in your body and in your life in that moment. I also would just pick up, hug, and spin the karmic. No, like we in a movie, like, I love you, bitch. Best thing that ever happened to me was her karmic. I never would have thought I would say that and mean it, but I do. I feel no ways about it now. It's a hilarious joke to me. It was a cosmic play. It was a cosmic tragedy for them. It was a comedy for me. Anyway, guys, that's the message for today. Do your reflections as this eclipse season comes up. 360, go back, see how you might not have been so tough, how you might have acted up if you were in the same position as your twin. They still are terrible. We still hate them. I mean, I hate them, but you know, we still don't like them. We still don't respect them. But that was a very powerful message from my bestie. Thank you for being brave enough to say it to me, because I could have ate her head off if I really wanted to. But I was like, she's not wrong. You're not wrong, bestie. You have a point. I do have some compassion for how she was, because I was not in the fullness of it and I still acted up, okay? To a degree, from your perspective, okay? That all remains subjective. All right, guys, so good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time. We'll continue to evolve together.